Good morning, everyone. I can't tell if I stopped the music when I stopped the screen share and I cut off the last few seconds of that song. So if you didn't get that harmonious closure that you were looking for, I have posted the link to this playlist and you can take a listen. I am so excited today. I'm Leah Case. I have no preferred gender pronouns, and this is the safest place that I can say that. And I want to thank you all for making me feel so loved and welcome every time I show up in all of my weirdness and oddities in this welcoming space. And I hope that all of you feel that in this welcoming space this morning. Lily is joining us to talk about her community garden at the Hampton House. And I'm glad we got to start with music because one of the things that Lily said to me that stuck during the 2023 legislative session, we were all tired. We were all sitting in the lobbyist room and it's gross in there. The air is stale. The lights are oppressive. They're just those fluorescent lights. It's gross. Everything about the lobbyist room is gross. And Lily was exhausted and she was telling the story about how she went home and was thinking, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm so tired, I'm just gonna sleep. And instead she went dancing. And it was an amazing experience. And you came in that morning, you were refreshed and rejuvenated. And all of us were having these moments of just panic and thinking about what's next in the terrifying legislative process. And Lily had been out dancing and was ready for the day. And she took on the world. She took on the world. And now she's running for city council. So here we are with Lily. I'm going to turn it over to you and stop talking. I have a chalice here. We'll just light that. I think the story will serve as our opening words. Welcome everyone to this space. Lily, do you want to talk? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you so much for that introduction. That's funny. I had almost forgotten about that, but yes, when all else fails, go dancing. My name is Lily. Thank you for having me so much. I'm really happy to be here this morning. I am the founder of Hampton House Garden Project, which started, this is our fourth year, like our fourth winter. It's kind of how I count it. And I count it that way because of the bees, basically. We have bees on the property. So I count every year that they're alive as the year that worked. So hopefully they're alive right now as the as the snow comes tumbling down. Myself and my son live here, who's 14, and we started the community garden project. And then the second year, we opened up the food pantry part as a part with Biggest Little Free Pantry, which is a refrigerator and food pantry. We also have Narcan and other like harm reduction tools that come out of there. And it's visited by, folks that are, at first it was like put in mind for people that are unsheltered, but as time has gone by, and because it's in my house, I can see who's utilizing the space. It's not just people that are unsheltered. It's, there are a lot more people who are food insecure. I live in an area that would be designated as a food desert, which means that it's more than a mile away from from an abundance of fresh produce, etc. You would have to walk, and the closest store is the co-op, which if anyone's familiar with the co-op, we love them, but yeah, it's very expensive. So one of the cool things about the co-op, though, is that they do donate to the pantry once a week. So it's super cool. Like, yeah, once a week. There's also some other places that like you'd classify as really expensive that do donate to the pantry. So I want you to go ahead and support those businesses because they are definitely giving back in your community. The co-op is one of them. Baran is another one, which is a bakery. They bring by tons of bread and pastries weekly. And Loaves and Fishes is another organization that helps out. And then there's just a bunch of other people. It kind of started as this like, we don't know who's going to fill the fridge, but we know that there's a need, and then we know that we could get it filled at least every once in a while. And now it's like, I don't even know everyone that's contributing because there are so many people that do. And there's no schedule or anything like that. There's also no barrier for the folks that are using it, which is really important also. Like they can rain or shine, come and use the space. One of the things when we were talking about starting it that I was cautioned about was that people would be camping in my yard and people will steal the fridge and people are going to disrespect the property. And in fact, not only is that not true, I got like notes in my mailbox saying thank you, folks asking if they can volunteer in the garden. Um, just an extreme amount of respect and appreciation from the folks in my neighborhood for providing this resource. And I feel like, where everyone thought that it was something that was dangerous or, could be dangerous, it's become actually something that I think makes all of us feel a lot safer. And like, that's the thing about food security is that is part of public safety, right? When we talk about public safety, I think the first thing that pops into a lot of people's heads is the police. Public safety means the public feeling safe, right? Which can have to do with housing, food, and personal security. It's feeling safe within yourself as a community, not just someone, policing the community. So I think this has been a really amazing project, and I've been able to meet a lot of neighbors and kind of have a boots on the ground view, especially when we're doing like high level policy stuff, of what a day in and day out looks like, and like who are the people that we're reaching. And I think the thing that was most surprising for me was that this ended up not being just, as I said before, for unsheltered folks. Like there's a huge gap with people that are making enough money to pay the rent, but that's too much money to be able to get food assistance. And that's like seems to be one of the huge communities that I'm serving, is like parents who are making just a little bit too much. If you pay rent here is, over $1,500 or whatever, you're already making too much money to be able to get food stamps. But that doesn't mean that you're making too much money to be able to afford food, right? Like so it's been an interesting seeing what demographics are popping up and the array of folks that use the fridge project and use the garden. And then also, like, in addition to that, one of the efforts of the fridge is to make, the idea of mutual aid accessible to everybody and something that everyone participates in, whether or not you need it 100%. So even like we practice at home every once in a while, use it if there's an abundance of something in the fridge, eating out of it also, because it's important to kind of like instill that there is not like food for people who can't afford food, and then there's the other food that everybody else eats. Like we can all eat together, we can all eat healthy, good food, and it doesn't have to, be distributed to a certain class of people because it was, for any reason whatsoever. So yeah.
That is a beautiful sentiment, Lily, that we are equal when we eat together. We are all at the same table. We are all sitting together, and we're bringing whatever we have with us or we don't have with us to that table. Can you talk a little bit more about the concept of mutual aid?
Sure. Yeah. Mutual aid is a concept where it's basically like a practice of community care. It's something that's not defined under like a specific tax structure, like a nonprofit or anything like that. So there's no.
I can't find it in NRS, you mean? There's not going to be a
No.
thing I can refer to? All right.
No, yeah. It's a non-hierarchical way of participating in community care. Mutual aid doesn't just mean food, it can be other resources that are necessary for anybody, for instance, there are groups that do like a mutual aid brake light clinic, which means you need a brake light, you're going to pull up and they're going to fix your brake light, right? And it's not going to cost you any money. So it's kind of the idea that if we are able to build other systems around the ones that were already built for us and all participate together and helping folks that, heaven forbid something like COVID, et cetera, happens again, we are not unpracticed in the art of taking care of each other, you know, and I think we all probably participate in mutual aid without realizing it. And I know a lot of people did during COVID, you know, it's like, it's when you make cookies for your neighbor. It's when you offer to babysit or whatever. It's when have a party with everybody and share your harvest of peaches or whatever this year, like that's all also mutual aid. And I think that it's one of the fundamental principles for us to be able to take care of each other as community members.
Thank you. I see Dr. Kevin Murphy is online and unmuted. Dr. Murphy, welcome. Glad to see you are not in isolation and not in the hospital right now.
Right.
So Lily is talking about, mutual aid needed during COVID, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Is COVID an issue right now? Do we need to, what kind of precautions should we be taking? How can we take care of our neighbors?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a puzzle now. It's certainly less of a threat than it was last year, and certainly the year before that. But we've got three major respiratory viruses circulating: RSV and influenza A, and although it looks like the numbers are starting to come down, it's been pretty severe this winter. So compared to usual years, not compared to recent years.
Well, now we have it's a different definition of usual, since we have a new disease.
That's right. We've had to readjust our thinking. So certainly folks who are vulnerable ought to be wearing masks in public. I think we can at least say that.
Excellent. And the rest of us can do our part by also wearing masks in public to protect those who are vulnerable. Lily, and so I bring up the health issue because you mentioned during COVID, folks were really involved. They were doing this mutual aid because it's community. It shows that we're family. And you talked about having naloxone on your premises. Is that correct? So can you talk about what naloxone is, in case anybody doesn't know? And if you'd like me to do that, I'm happy to help. I saw you drinking tea too, so I'm imagining we're all kind of chesty, congested. Why you stock naloxone?
Yeah, so naloxone and Narcan are two life-saving medications that reverse an overdose of fentanyl specifically. And it's increasingly difficult to find these things for folks, and they really do save lives. Unfortunately, right now, some of like Narcan, for instance, you might need to use 4 or 5 of those. It does cost money. It's not free. Somebody pays for it when you're out and about, but there are ways to obtain it for free through public health folks. And that's what I ended up doing. This is another thing that this and test strips, also drug test strips, which will show someone who is using whether or not they have fentanyl in their product. And so they're able to have, make an educated decision. And every piece of research that exists basically about drug addiction says that this is the best way that we can keep folks alive when they're struggling with substance use disorder. So this also was another thing that folks cautioned me against, like that means you're going to be attracting these folks and they're going to steal it and whatever. And I think it's really important to note that as the project goes on and as the things, when the folks realize that what is being offered isn't going away and that it's not in the scarcity, they take what they need and they know it's going to be back there. There's a tendency, and it's funny because we did see this during COVID, like the toilet paper thing, right? And I noticed this happened in a lot of big grocery stores. But one of the things I noticed was like, it wasn't happening at, I live in Reno, if you're familiar, like by Market Tone, like an older store that's definitely not, like a regular store that everybody goes to. All the things are much cheaper. The demographic is much different. And I noticed throughout the entire time, like they never ran out of toilet paper. And it's because people that live in scarcity often make sure they're aware that there are other people around and that somebody else also needs something. So they take what they need as opposed to the instinct to like hoard all of this stuff. Uh, so yeah, so that's why we offered our kit. And one of the discoveries that we made with that is just that people take what they need and they're using it to save lives. You know, these are people that are struggling, but they are using it to save lives. And everybody, whether they're, you know, living outside or not, should be carrying it anyway, because you can definitely save a life. So if you want to come on by, it's on the side of the fridge and you can grab some and just keep it in your car. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people that pull up to the gas station or whatever, and like they luckily had naloxone in their car and saved somebody's life. Like it's really that amazing, this drug. So yeah.
That is incredible. And I do this. I get so excited about our guests that I dive right in without formal introductions, without telling folks how this process usually works. So Sunday Forum, sometimes we have guests who come in and they have a slideshow presentation, and it's like a class where we're getting a lecture from an expert. And sometimes we have moments like this where we're having almost an interview style, and we can ask questions. Is it okay if we do kind of an interview style and I invite folks to put their questions in the chat or to raise their hands? I think that's a nod yes. So what I'm going to do, just in case folks did not have a chance to read the bio that came out with our Sunday Forum, I'm going to read a little bit about Lily. And then if you have questions, drop them in the chat. I'll make sure they're asked out loud. And if anybody is able to raise their hand and unmute, we can ask questions that way. So here, I'll share screen so you can read along. Here we go. Picture of beautiful Lily here. Lily established the Hampton House Community Garden on her Ward 1 property, aided by her son, Oliver, and dog Champagne. It is a place where neighbors, including children, are learning gardening and beekeeping. The produce goes to feed anyone who is hungry, unsheltered, or unhoused, literally making a food desert bloom. She will regale us with her vision of reversing the inequities that underlie food insecurity in our community and the nation. The state of Nevada estimates that by next year, 100,000 Nevadans will be in need of food assistance. Nevada ranks 8th among U.S. states in food insecurity at 15% of the population. Lily grew up in Lake Tahoe, attended the New York Professional Performing Arts School, and in New York shot commercials, played on Broadway, and recorded jazz albums. These are things I didn't know about you, Lily. What you can learn from the internet. On returning to Northern Nevada, she took over the Tahoe Players Theater, founded by her grandmother. Her devotion to jazz is a legacy of her blues-playing grandfather. In Reno, she founded the jazz quartet Say Their Names, which has performed an updated Nina Simone song for women for the nonprofit For the Love of Jazz, featuring women recently killed by law enforcement. She was a staffer for Assemblywoman Shondra Summers-Armstrong and a program associate at ACLU Nevada. So I think we need to update that, Lily, because that might be outdated now. She's been a vocal advocate for our neighbors without shelter and housing, for racial justice, and against economic inequalities. So hopefully that gave you some time to have a cup of tea and for folks to think about some questions that maybe they have for you. I am so curious about your jazz career. That is incredible. But I know we came today to hear about food inequity, and it's kind of shifted into this mutual aid conversation and how we can be a more welcoming community and how we can be neighbors. So I'm excited to hear if anyone here on Zoom has some questions. Let me check the chat and pull up our participants list. Let's see. I see one coming up in chat, and okay, no hands raised currently. So from Krista Markow for Lily, as a community member, what can we do to participate or help with your efforts? We live in South Washoe Valley, a little out of the way for most folks, but have over an acre just open and have thought about something like a community garden. Any tips for getting started, especially for someone with a brown thumb?
Oh my gosh, this makes me so excited. Wow, Krista, yes. I think you should go full force it's winter. It's the perfect time to start planning. Um, there is an amazing community of farm people. And in fact, from my experience, at least in Reno, Washoe County area, almost all of these, like there's so many organic farms and so many local farms. Every single one that I'm in communication with is run by women. I don't know, it's not intentional, but I don't know if anyone else has noticed this because I don't see it talked about a lot, but literally every single farmer is a woman in Washoe County, which is, I find really cool because that's not usually the stereotype, you know? So I would get started by testing your soil always, because you want to make sure that you have, you know what you have. Then I will give you my information so I can set you up with some seeds, can tell me what you like to grow and can tell you what's easy. And then there are so many folks that I also could connect you with. One is runs a group called Soil Solidarity, and they can come out and help. My friend Katie Calling can help come out and help you set up the space physically, can build you beds, etc. But I cannot tell you enough. That's kind of like how I started. I was like, I want to maybe do this thing because I have a yard, and my yard was horrible. Like the space is here, but the ground was rock and hard. Like weeds weren't even growing, trash everywhere, boulders, bricks, like the whole thing. But all I had to say were the magic words that you just said, Krista, which was, I'm thinking about starting a community garden. And all of a sudden, all of these people come out of the woodwork. And it's funny because it's like gardening to me is like this great equalizer. Like if I can't get anywhere with somebody and I think there's someone that I do not agree with, especially like in session or whatever, like someone that I cannot find the middle ground with, I go to gardening and like 9 times out of, actually 10 times out of 10, that will like neutralize the conversation or at least get us to a place of common understanding, because it's such a thing that, you know, all people do. Like anthropologically, all of us are able to grow food. This is a difficult place to do it, so you probably don't have a brown thumb. We just have tricky little right, the common ground is ground. Yes, exactly. That's so funny. Yeah, so it's people are so willing and able to help, and I think that your neighbors, you'll find out so many folks that have, you know, something to offer. So I think you should dive right in, and you know, Leah has my information, but I'll put it in the chat too. You're totally welcome to hit me up for any resources there.
That is
Thank you. You'll be hearing from me.
Oh, hi, Krista. I hear you. I didn't see you, so I kind of love when that happens. Just the voice from the internet comes down from above.
Not turning on my camera this morning.
Yeah, I mean, it is 9:24 on a Sunday morning. I have 5 inches of snow outside, give or take. So I'm glad we moved this to Zoom this morning. Let's see, any hands, any other questions we've got here? That was an amazing rundown, and I'm glad to hear that there are so many other organizations out there. In case you need it, I have a great compost pile. It's also therapeutic. If you ever, I recommend a compost pile to everyone because you can just let it rot, you know, you just let it sit there. Decomposition is my thing. And you get to stab it with a pitchfork every now and again, which that's the therapeutic part. What other forms of oh, we've got a Jane with her hand raised, sorry. Jane, go ahead.
Hi, sorry how I looked this morning, not so great. I wanted Lily to, hi Lily. I wanted you to please describe just how easy it is for the average person in their average home eating their average meals to send their leftovers to the fridge. I mean, how easy is that?
Hi, Jane. It's so good to see you this morning. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the things is we kind of get over encompassed by like what it needs to give. You know, folks are like, well, so what does that mean? What do you need for the fridge? What do I make 50 meals, 100 meals? And it's like laboring over what it is to be able to give back, when quite literally, if you have leftovers, and that could be any amount of leftover, it can be, you know, I always do it with like soup or chili. or whatever, just make a couple extra servings, put it in a container. You can find containers that are disposable, preferably like biodegradable or not styrofoam, but whatever. And at Smart and Final or, you know, any grocery store, and just stick it in the fridge. And there's such a huge array of like stages of giving, I would say, that like the way that I would categorize it is there are folks where elementary school classroom took on their fridge as a project 1 month for 1 semester for their community service project, and the kids all made like a soup and sandwiches. Sometimes there's a husband and wife team, they're out of town right now, but they just as a couple go to the store and got a little extra stuff, and they come, and it's like their thing that they do as a couple once a week. Sometimes it's just one time, you know, you had a party or you had an event or a gathering and there was a bunch of extra sandwiches or whatever, which we've all been in that situation, I'm sure, where we're leaving something and it's like, now what do I do with the other, you know, the 50 cold cut sandwiches that I had or whatever, like we're not going to eat all these, wrap them up and come bring them over here. It really is that easy and everything goes. Like I've never really had a situation where like we are creating food waste. I would say like the days that it's filled up all the way, it's still gone by the end of the day. There's the limit to what we can do as far as supporting our neighbors, like through this pantry and others, it really doesn't exist. And again, like I'm right down the street from Catholic Charities. So it's, even though the largest distributor of food for certain populations is literally 2 blocks away from my house, we are still seeing folks that are utilizing both in order to, you know, nourish themselves. So
where is it, Lily? Can you tell us where it is?
yeah, thank you. It's at 638 Elko Avenue, and I'll put it in the chat also. The landmark is Roller Kingdom, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with. So right off of the I-80 Wells exit, right next to Roller Kingdom. One interesting fun fact about this neighborhood is that, you know, were we to designate neighborhoods downtown, which is one thing that I'd like to do, as for their historical relevance and significance, is that Langston Hughes would, when he would come visit Reno, would stay in a boarding house on the street. And in typical Reno fashion, there isn't a plaque or anything to be, nobody would ever know that. So I like to just make sure that I mention that if I'm talking about where I live. If I were to map out a neighborhood, this would definitely have been a historic Black neighborhood. But also, we have to remember Langston Hughes was not just a Black man. Langston Hughes was a Black queer man and someone who lived in a time where that was not the most accepted, especially in Reno. So to me, it's interesting that he would come here to write, and especially come here to this area of town. So that lends you to guess that, you know, there was always in our artsy culture here, there was always a support for like an alternative whatever lifestyle or all of those things here, and that is something that's embedded in Reno's history. So I find it's one of my favorite things about having the pantry here is that I feel like it would have fit in at any time period, especially the ones that, you know, the one where he was here, because he wrote a lot about poverty, etc.
I didn't know.
Sounds like we do need an historical marker or a plaque
Right.
in that place. I'd love to see it.
There were a couple other questions that came in the chat too. So the first from Jeff, are you food banked out, or would people visiting one and dropping off the hall help? You might need clarity.
That helps. Sometimes people do that. Also, I also will become like this. I'm sorry. The second part that I haven't really discussed is that I do also link up with other mutual aid projects, and the one that I'm the most dedicated to is called Family Soup Mutual Aid. And so that's every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. They have a community feed that they do downtown at the Believe sign. If anybody would like to join, you can show up with nothing. You can show up with meals for 200 people. Either way, you're welcome to show up. And they also distribute resources, food, as well as clothing. Again, naloxone, toothbrushes, hygiene items, things like that. So I will often collect what is left over. A lot of the times food banks get food that's like doesn't make sense for folks, like for instance, I believe I got 90 pounds of potatoes earlier this year. I just finished using all of them, but things like that are like raw ingredients that are difficult for even a food bank to get rid of. I'll take those in and make a large meal and distribute it. And I also just try to do that at least once a month. I was getting down to every week, every once in a while, but that's one of the dedications that we have, especially when there's excess of things. I don't know if any of you have fruit trees, but if you do, I'm sure this year you were buried in fruit. And so one of the things, another person that we partner with is Pamela, who's incredible from Reno Gleaning Project. And so what she does is she comes with a group of volunteers and they glean your fruit trees for you. And then they take that food and then they distribute it to different folks like me, who can either process it, break it down, or give it out as just the raw ingredient. And I was drowning in many different fruits this year because of that. Apricots, apples. I still have, I'm sure there's still apple peels on my floor somewhere because again, things like 300 pounds of apples will come in and I'm like, all right, what are we doing with these? But it's interesting because food bank does have an excess a lot of the times, especially during like holidays like Thanksgiving or whatever. That's when they'll have I believe somebody dropped off like 10 turkeys on the day after Thanksgiving or whatever, so like I really like to try. I feel like there's a gap between food bank and person that is using, yes, thank you, Jane. Person that's using the food. It's not, they're not there 24/7. It's not all the time, and a lot of the times it's not actually the perfect ingredients. So in order to eat outside or whatever. For instance, one time I helped a person who went and got a food bank box from somewhere, and it was like eggs and raw spinach and some like bread and whatever, but she lived outside and she's like, what am I supposed to do with this food? And so I went and made like a bunch of egg sandwiches. Gave them to her because what are you gonna do? But it's still food, she still needs it. So yeah, so it's such a big hybrid of folks that are helping. Again, it's like anywhere from a little kid. One time a kid brought part of his birthday cake because there was birthday cake left over. It was so cute. Like he thought of it himself and he wanted to do it on his birthday after the party. That is what he thought. He was like, we have all this extra cake. I want to bring it to Hampton House. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna cry. It was so cute. It's awesome. Like the kids understand this more than anybody. They're like, oh yeah, sure. We're making food for everybody. I get it. Kids understand, so yeah, it's really from your leftover birthday cake to at 501c3, charitable donation is all we can accept all of those things.
That is amazing and makes me happy to hear that the kids are all right. There's a lot of doom and gloom if you scroll the internet on this generation and that generation. The kids are fine. Another question has come in from Nancy Ann, and just some background. There are a lot of passion areas within UUFNN membership. Climate change, water conservation, that is another part of the social justice piece that UUFNN members work on. Nancy Ann's question is, in your garden, how do you water your plants and yet conserve the water, because there is such a difficulty using enough water for each plant and not overwatering?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that we do in some of the beds is we use this It's like a African indigenous technique, and you use an ola, which is like you get a terracotta pots, glue them together, in the hole, and you glue a dish to the bottom of it, and then the hole in the top you bury it, and then you pour water in the hole at the top, and the water seeps out over time through the pot. So that's one of the techniques that they use in, especially um in arid or dry climates. I do grow a lot of food that's like a culturally significant plant, and a lot of them are things that do grow in Africa, which is interesting because we do actually have a really similar climate sometimes to some of the climates that are on that continent. So a lot of food that we don't think about growing well here does, and we just haven't really tried it as much. So that's one of the things. I also use a drip system. And then I also use like horticulture techniques that make it so that it's really dense. Like I plant things really close together and try to create like a canopy almost, so it holds in some moisture. I only water early in the morning or late at night. If you'll notice, when I've driven up to Winnemucca, there are some farms that are like watering at 2 p.m., which is the biggest no-no, it's that's not what you want. So the time of day that you water is super important too, for water conservation, because it'll evaporate, when it's full sun. So if I don't make it early in the morning, then it's late at night. I'm not gonna do it in the middle of the day just because I forgot or whatever. So that's one of the things. No, I'm not the only one in Reno, and I will. I don't know if they have a website, but it's called Biggest Little Free Pantry. There are a few locations. There aren't all refrigerator pantries. The other one on Wilkerson is, but I think just myself and Wilkerson are the refrigerated pantries, but there are other little pop-ups all around. Let me see if they have a website.
And I'm here in Carson. I'm not, and of course, Chris has mentioned being in South Washoe. I haven't seen a free pantry in Carson City, but maybe you're aware of one. Same for Washoe. I don't know that we have any. We have fish here, and that's
Oh yeah.
come and take.
Well, it sounds like you're about to start one.
Yeah, I mean, now that I know, Nathan has seen my yard. I've got my cool compost and some wild dogs.
Ooh.
So yeah, let me just start those garden boxes.
See, I love that. So I just posted in the chat. There's a map from Biggest Little Free Pantry site.
Oh, that is what a fantastic resource. Oh my goodness.
See?
Oh. And this is how
I'm telling you. So it's like the word Beetlejuice. Don't say I want to start a garden 3 times, because you're going to start one and it'll never stop.
Yeah, let me tell universe, listen up. I know you're busy watering our Great Basin here, but we need to start our community garden. So if you could, sink this down by April, Homa and I have some work to do. Other questions from anyone on our Zoom today? We are 20 minutes to 10. Our UUFNN service starts at 10:30. The doors, the virtual doors for that will open at about 10:21. And we can pop that Zoom link in the chat, because it's a different Zoom link. We don't just merge straight from here. I first started attending UUFNN and it was all virtual, and that was very confusing to new me. So we'll pop that in the chat to help folks get over if they're interested. Lily, anything else you think we should know today? I have just been, what a magical morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I would say the one, there is an organization that supports us, like a fiscal agent, if anyone did ever want to make a donation that is fiscally involved, and it's the Black Community Collective. And also just, support your local farmers. Make sure to do that. If you need any other resources or whatever, please ask Leah. Literally, I put my cell phone in there, and I'm as reachable as humanly possible. Please reach out. I love to talk about gardening.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we'll be having tea at my house for sure. I think we'll have Krissa, we'll have Homa, we'll have Lily. Nathan, you want to come for some tea and compost and gardening? There we are. This has just been a beautiful morning of building community of practicing our welcoming principles, of really celebrating what every individual human brings to our community, to our table where we can eat together. I have to relight my chalice really quick. But Charlotte likes to blow out the candles and make wishes. So I would like to extinguish our chalice this morning, and we can stay on and chat. Oh, Jeff, of course we can. We don't need to extinguish the chalice.
I just wanted to put in that UUFNN is experimenting with a bioreactor composter of the Johnson-Su model to see if that is effective in our area, our climate. So, so we've got an experiment going, and we can possibly have some teas or supplements for you.
Thank you. Are you doing that with Tanner Petrilla?
He's been advising. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so cool.
Jeff, can you expand on that? I didn't catch the type of composting you mentioned, but it did not sound familiar to me, and I'm sure there are others who felt the same way.
Okay. A bioreactor composter is built on a model that was started by a microbiologist. I'm not going to get where they're from, but it's southern United States, and it's built on really finely using fine feed for the compost and having everything within a foot of an air pocket and keeping it hydrated. And you don't stir this compost. You let not only, normal compost has microbes and worms, but this one also has fungi that is helping with the breakdown. And so you don't stir it, you build it like within a day or two, and then you let it sit, and all you do is hydrate it throughout the year it takes to break everything up into this. And then the fungi adds an additional rich component to the mix that's not normally gotten with other composting styles.
That's amazing. Fungi are, I mean, they're their own kingdom. So let the mushrooms take over the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to post the link for service in the chat. We still do have 15 minutes. I don't want to rush anybody, but I also know there's lots of folks who are joining us on a Sunday morning who may have other obligations and family time. But we are happy to just stay and chat and talk dirt and gardening and of course composting. The weather is a favorite subject of mine, and just be in community with each other in this time. Let's see. And thank you to everyone helping in the chat today with resources, with website links, with Lily just posting your phone number and address so we can all drop by and support the Hampton House Community Garden, for the resources so that Carissa and I can start our own community garden. I have lots of plans that I can't mention on this call because, they might break a few rules. So we'll talk offline about those, but sometimes city codes are silly. The Johnson-Su bioreactor compost system. There we go. Thank you, Jeff. All right, Lily, can I ask you if you don't mind, do you have a favorite poem that you could share with us? I like to collect favorite poems from folks. I realize that puts you very much on the spot.
Yeah, you know what?
Different subject.
I want no, you know what I've been wanting to do, which I didn't get a chance to do last night. I was just gifted this book, and I really have been wanting to crack it open. So what I'm going to do is just open it to a page, and it does have poems in it. So it's funny that you said that. So I think I'm just going to open it to a page, and this is going to be the poem.
Okay, I love this.
Interesting. Okay, so the book is Black Liturgies by Cole Arthur Riley. I opened really smack dab in the middle of it. So okay. Confession. Secret God, we confess we have cultivated habits of distrust and dishonesty. We've not honored the stories that have been shared with us. often centering ourselves and our own hunger for emotional theater and false intimacy over the hurting. We have failed to offer care to those who've bared themselves to us, leaving them emotionally spent and alone. We have kept secrets in the interest of protecting the powerful, and we have told secrets in a way that erodes trust between us and those we love. We have shamed and we have been shamed. Forgive us. Have mercy on us and be with us in our hiding, that we would reclaim a discerning posture toward the hidden things and question that any exposure that leaves us more raw than real. Amen. Forgiveness. Leave your soul, receive this rest. The God of deep mystery will teach you the beauty and terror of what is hidden. Receive forgiveness in all your attempts at exposing what should remain secret, and all your attempts to hold alone that which deserves to be held by another. Feel divine mercy over you, protecting you as you endure the cost of what is hidden. Be comforted as you try to do your best in a world that can always be trusted to hold the untold parts of your story, and find compassion for yourself as you choose to tell or not tell. However close you allow others to get, the divine remains near. Amen. The last one is benediction. Go in compassion to become more and more honest with yourself as you protect your story in a way that you need to. Go in honor, liberated from the shame that thrives in hidden places, and with renewed love and respect for the face encountered in the mirror. Amen.
Lily, thank you. I, with that, have extinguished our chalice. Wow, thank you. I'm gonna post the link one more time for the music that was playing earlier this morning. And we can stay here on this Zoom link as long as you need this morning. Feel free to log off if you need to. Please get some tea or hot cocoa or hot coffee. And nourish your body and your soul and your mind today, this Sunday in community. Oh. Y'all want me to just put the music back on and we can just dance? You can be on camera or off, but I feel like Lily, this has been such an inspiring day. I don't even know where to start, but I'm glad we're doing it together.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really nice. I appreciate it. I love that, Nathan, that you're reading this book too. That's awesome. It is so good. Yeah, I'm really stoked on it. And it's all like prayers and devotionals in a way that I think a lot of folks can relate to.
Wow.
Yeah. The letters, that each chapter opens with a letter, and the first letter just like wrecked me in the most beautiful way. But it's for everybody. Black liturgies, if you have an Instagram, their Instagram is flawless.
I swear I share every single thing that comes on there, and every time like you have to stop, and I'm like, no, because people respond to it every time.
Well, Kevin and Leah, I captured the chat in a document. Do either of you want me to send you, or do you have that automatic?
Oh, you can send it since you've already done that work. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
None of us are hosts today because we don't have.
The chat will be transcribed and sent to Carol. Carol will receive it, but
that happens naturally.
And it happens, yeah, with the recordings.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if I'd call it natural. It's definitely virtual.
Magical and wondrous.
Algorithmically.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna put the music on in case, unless somebody else wants to speak. I see Jeff's hand is still up, but that's from earlier, I think.
That's me being a doofa.
Really, I did have a question that I forgot to ask that I'm curious about because it had less to do with food insecurity, but I come from a context of like deep relationship with transformative justice workers and collective liberation care practitioners. And I always like to ask people who are doing the work on the ground, how do you tend to your imagination? Because this work is really exhausting. And so I always like to, yeah, how do you tend to your imagination? Because as beautiful as this work is, it's also hard.
That is the best question I've ever been asked, and I'm really going to ask it to myself every day, I think. I do a lot of serious things, but I'm a very unserious person. I am deeply like invested in making everything a joke. I don't know why, but it's the way that I am. I love to laugh. So I think that's one of the things. And the way that I tend to my imagination is by like I do like a mental exercise of basically like I picture the garden growing, or or I picture the things thinking, the things working. I kind of like try to set an intention of like what the future looks like. This is interesting because last night I went to the Nevada Museum of Art. I have to plug this because it's like so amazing. They have it's really great artists in there right now, but there was an artist talk by one of the people who's showing right now, named Chanupa Honskaluger, and they create like indigenous futurism. And one of the things that really stuck with me was that he talked about post apocalypse. Like we do a lot of imagining of like Mad Max, but we don't do imagining of what happens after that. And there aren't many stories about what happens after that. And there aren't many, we don't create like our survival and our thriving after the thing that is happening, right? So, and I'm a big believer in reimagining the world in the way that it worked perfectly. Like a prompt that I would say that I use probably to answer the question the best is what if it all works out? Like, so I ask myself that question all the time, especially in the times that it doesn't seem like it's going to. That's when it's the most important. So I think just like posing yourself a question like the one that you gave, but also just like, what does it look like to live in the world that we need, as opposed to the world that is going in a certain direction, or the world that we're currently in? Like, what does it look like to live in the world that's working for all of us?
Thank you.
What an amazing question. All right. Music, questions, music. All right. We have to cut the music in the posting because it's copyright protected. But you can listen on your own if you have Spotify. I don't want UUFNN to get sued. There's like weird, there's weird things about that, and it's fundraising season, so we have to be cautious anyway. We got to budget appropriately. Let's make this big, and then I got to figure out how to share audio again. Maybe I'll just do it. Let me know if you can hear it. Jen?
So high so lined like spider webs. I'll always remember the things she said. They were so wide, she opened my eyes, and I'll never close again. Oh, how she sighed when she stopped her cigarette. I felt compelled to inquire for success. How do? How can you be so in love with yourself? Tell me please, 'cause I need help. She said, every time you succeed, there's an old man somewhere seething, and spite's as good a reason to take his power. When you hate the body you are in, oh love you're acting just for him, as he counts his gold and green in his ivory tower. I fear it lines his pockets locked, so take that rage and bottle up and put a drop into his cup of wine. You don't need him, you don't need me. With that poison bottle you'll be free, but be damn sure you don't mix it up with mine. I met a young girl with eyes so bright. She was already getting sick of life. Her arms were laden with his merchandise. She asked me why I no longer try and waste my time, but I said fine, 'cause every time you were succeeding, there's an old man somewhere seething, and spite's as good a reason to take his power. When you hate the body you are in, oh love you're acting just for him, as he counts his gold and green in his ivory tower. Fear it finds his pocket stuff, so take that rage and bottle up and put a drop into his cup of wine. You don't need him, you don't need me. With that poison bottle you'll be free, but be damn sure you don't mix it up with mine. Be damn sure you don't mix it up with mine. I met a woman with lips so red. Always remember the things she said.
Charlotte's like, we need to jump. I'm not a big jumper.
Every time that I look in the mirror, all these lines in my face getting clearer. The past is gone, it went by like dust to dawn. Isn't that the way? Everybody's got the dues in life to pay. Yeah, I know nobody knows where it comes and where it goes. I know everybody sings, you got to lose to know how to win. Half my life's in books, written pages. Live and learn from fools and from sages. You know it's true. All the things come back to you. Sing with me, sing for the year, sing for the laughter, sing for the tear. Sing with me, just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away.
Henry, I am so sorry, but you're gonna have to.
I'll just take a
Yeah,
moment
we're gonna
to
do this.
sing song.
Okay.
To say hello, good morning, everyone. This has been your Sunday Forum at UUFNN. I'm just letting the music play while we're all stuck at home in this snowstorm. I'll let it play until 10:21, and then I'm going to switch over to the full service Zoom link that was in the chat. If anybody needs it, just let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the music. I'm going to get off camera and just let you enjoy the sounds. All right, bye.
All the ducks are swimming in the water. All the ducks are swimming in the water. Falder, falder. All the ducks are swimming in the water. Falder, falder. All the ducks are swimming in the water. Falder, falder. ducks are swimming in the water. Balderalderalder, balderalderalder. All the ducks are swimming in the water. Balderalderalder, balderalderalder. All the ducks are swimming in the water. Balderalderalder, balderalderalder. All the ducks are swimming in the water.
Things change fast, but this too shall pass. Better carve it on your forehead or tattoo it on your ass, 'cause who can tell when the clock strikes 12 if today's become tomorrow, it's all just gone to hell. My friend makes rings, she swirls and sings. She's a mystic in the sense that she's still mystified by things but scared to ask. How can nothing seem to last? Just like a cancer in your body, it all goes too fast. We think too big, we think ourself is one whole thing, and we claim that this collection has a name and is a being, but deep inside, when every cell divides, well, it sets upon the rule that state self-interest is divine. And cancer, too, lives by this golden rule that you must do unto the others as the others unto you, all for the best. Because it's all that life accepts, and so we kill it like a buffalo with awe and with respect. Don't ask God, just holler at the sky, 'cause she'll tell it to you plainly. And the clouds that whisper by and praise the shapes, and then praise the way they change. And they'll teach you not to pray to light without you pray to rain. So I pray to hands, I pray to needs, and I pray to blades of grass to find forgiveness in the weeds. But as for health, I just never did believe, and so I never prayed myself except to those that prayed for me. The story goes, or the way that I was told, there was a king that always felt too high, and then he fell too low, and so he called all the wise men to the hall, and he begged them for a gift to end the rises and the falls. But here's the thing, they came back with a ring. It was simple and was plainly unbefitting of a king, engraved in black. Well, it had no front or back, but there were words around the band that said, just know this too shall pass.
They say that you can see the devil dance on idle hands, so we put in work. Amen. Put the city on my shoulder blades and molded waves. Focus on devotion when it's road to pave. Kicking in the doors and we open gates for the years, blood, sweat, and tears that we overpaid. When it's no pain, it's no glory. Legendary grind for the hit story. Come to shut us down, you are what army? We about to go live, make it loud for me. Through rain, sleet, hail, and snowflakes. Not a day off when the payoff was a raindrop in the lake. I done been lost, took a big cost, never been off of my game. Got an A part, I'ma go hard to the grave. Now let's work. The grind don't stop. We giving it 100 till the squad on top. We put in work. The grind never dies. We giving it 100 till the whole team rise. We put in work. We put in work. Come on. We put in work. Rumbling and steel, did it by the code. 10 toes standing in the fire, and we never fold. I'ma come alive when it's on. Now watch me work.
Yeah. He's one of the prophets. That's Jesus. I know who that is. Yeah.
Hey everyone, I put a note in the chat that I was going to turn this Zoom link off after that last song. Perfect timing because the next one has a lot of curse words in it. So probably best to not play that with Charlotte in the room. I'm going to do my best NPR impression and sign off from this Zoom link. And I hope to see you all at the services since we're all virtual today, and bring your tea and enjoy the sun. All right. I'm getting off. Bye everyone.
Okay, yeah, by the way, for real ones. Yeah, it's not a fast produced. He bought it out of an art gallery. No, that's not that. Oh, God. He was gonna be do everything that didn't. I know. He's trying, he's got, yeah. I'll be back. I think Joe wanted to get rid of that. Let me clarify that. It'd take me longer than a month to move. You got me so inspired. Yesterday, one of the things is is I went through a lot of my paper covers. Oh yeah. To get stuff away and to organize things. And you know what I'm gonna use those crates is when I move my pantry. Yeah. I can put it in there, put it on the counter, put it in the cupboard. We can't do that. I know. So if you need anything, let me know. I do. I know other people that do. Okay. And I have, I do the real part. Right. Jane said that there's no nurses in the state. Connected with the disabled seniors.
Mercy, you're not muted. You're not muted.
My place this afternoon. See, we're pretty housebound anyways. This would be a good time. 2 o'clock. 1 o'clock. 1. Okay. It's about almost 10:30. 1 o'clock. Stop by my place 1 o'clock. I got the canvas you can paint over there and we'll do whatever. Okay. Excellent.
Oh, yeah. Your foot.